My neighbor slid a key under my door with a note that said, "Use this tomorrow at 3 p.m. Apartment 12B. Don't tell anyone." At first I thought it was some weird mistake or a prank. She barely ever spoke to me. But the next day, right at 3 p.m., I heard a scream coming from her apartment. It wasn't just a cry for help. It was the kind of scream that made my whole body go cold. When I unlocked her door with that key, I stepped into something I never imagined was happening right next to me. Before I take you inside that apartment, make sure you subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from, because what I'm about to share is real, and it could happen to anyone. My name is Rena Marshall. I live alone on the 4th floor of a quiet apartment building just outside Denver. It's a peaceful place. Young couples, retirees, a few students. The kind of building where people nod politely in the elevator, but rarely know each other's last names. I've lived there for 2 years and felt safe, content, and comfortably disconnected from everyone else's lives. My mother lives 3 hours away and calls me every night. Ever since my father passed, she worries about me living on my own. My younger brother, Logan, is a firefighter. He's always reminding me to stay alert and trust your gut, as if danger is constantly waiting around the corner. I always laughed it off. Bad things happen in movies and on the news, not in the hallway outside my door. Apartment 12B belonged to a woman named Olivia Hayes. She was quiet, polite, always dressed neatly in neutral colors. She rarely smiled, never had guests, and always double-locked her door, even just to grab a package from the hallway. We spoke maybe 5 times in passing. She wasn't rude. She was careful. The type who seemed like she had seen too much of the world and decided it was safer to stay invisible. The day before everything happened, I came home from work, set down my groceries, and noticed something on the floor just inside my door. I bent down and realized it was a single silver key with a yellow tag. Underneath it was a folded note. My first thought was that someone delivered it to the wrong apartment, but the note had my name. In uneven handwriting, it read, "Use this tomorrow at 3 p.m. Apartment 12B. Lock the door behind you. Do not tell anyone." I stood there frozen, reading it over and over. Why would Olivia give me her key? Why specify a time? And why tell me not to tell anyone? Was she in danger? Was this some sort of emergency plan? A trap? A test? For a moment, I considered knocking on her door right then, but something held me back. If she wrote that note, she didn't want me to see her in that moment. And if she didn't write it, then someone else had access to her apartment. That night, I barely slept. Every little creak in the hallway made me sit up in bed. I kept checking the peephole, expecting to see someone standing there. At around 11 p.m., I heard footsteps stop outside my door, followed by a soft tap, like someone pressed their finger against the wood. No knock, just touch. I held my breath and didn't move until the footsteps eventually faded away. The next morning was strangely quiet. Olivia didn't appear for her usual coffee run. The hallway, normally filled with the sound of televisions and muffled conversations, felt hollow. I even saw our maintenance worker look up at her apartment with a frown, as if noticing something was off. Time felt slower that day. Each hour closer to 3 p.m. made my pulse quicken. My brother called around noon to check in. I almost told him about the key, but stopped myself. It sounded ridiculous. What would I even say? Hey, I think my neighbor wants me to break into her apartment at exactly 3 p.m. Not before, not after. By 2:50 p.m., I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the clock. The key was in my hand. At 2:59 p.m., I heard it. The faintest noise coming from down the hallway. It sounded like furniture scraping. Then a low voice, then a sudden bang against a wall. At 3 p.m. on the dot, a scream tore through the building. It was Olivia, and in that moment, I knew the note wasn't a request. It was a warning. The scream that came from apartment 12B wasn't just loud, it was primal. It sounded like someone fighting for their life, like terror itself had found a voice. I froze in my doorway, the key clutched in my hand so tightly it pressed dense into my skin. In that instant, instinct hit me like a shockwave. This wasn't a prank or misunderstanding. Olivia was in danger. Every heartbeat thundered in my ears as I ran down the hallway, my hands shaking so badly I struggled to fit the key into the lock of her door. The metal scraped once, twice, before sliding in. My breath came in shallow gasps. I hesitated only for a second, because once I opened that door, whatever was happening inside would become my reality. Another scream burst through, this time weaker, choked, like someone trying to scream while being silenced. That was all it took. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. The moment I stepped inside, the air felt different, thick, cold, and heavy, as if something evil had been living there. The curtains were drawn tightly, blocking all daylight. A single lamp in the corner flickered, casting shaky shadows across the room. My stomach dropped when I saw a chair tipped over on its side and a broken glass laying shattered across the hardwood floor. Then I heard it, a muffled sob coming from deeper inside the apartment. "Olivia," I called out, my voice trembling. There was no response, only a choked gasp from what sounded like down the hallway. My heart pounded as I moved forward, every step echoing in the silence. The apartment smelled faintly of cleaning supplies mixed with something metallic, blood. The hallway seemed to stretch longer than it ever should have, every shadow flickering like it was alive. I reached the end, where her bedroom door stood slightly ajar. From inside, I heard a voice, weak, shaky. "Please, help me." I pushed the door open and froze. Olivia was on the floor, her wrists bound to a bedpost with duct tape, her face pale and streaked with tears. She looked at me like I was her last hope. "Lock the door," she gasped. "Please, lock it now." I spun around and slammed the bedroom door shut, locking it just as heavy footsteps echoed from somewhere else in the apartment. Someone else was inside. My chest tightened with terror. I dropped to my knees beside her. "Who is here? What happened?" I whispered. Her eyes darted around wildly. "They are coming back. They think I have something. You weren't supposed to be here yet." Her breathing was fast, desperate. "I left you the key because I needed someone I could trust to find what they're after before they do. It's hidden in this apartment." My mind reeled. None of this made sense. "Why didn't you call the police?" I asked, trying to untie her. She shook her head fiercely. "Because the people coming for me are watching the police. They have someone on the inside. If the police get here first, we both disappear." Before I could respond, the doorknob rattled violently from the other side. A deep male voice said coldly, "Olivia, open the door." My skin crawled. Olivia shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks as she whispered, "They will kill us both if they get in here." Adrenaline surged through my body. I looked around the room for anything that could be used as a weapon or escape. The window was sealed shut, likely nailed or locked from the outside. Then I saw it. Hidden behind a loose floorboard near the nightstand was a small black box, partially exposed. Olivia's eyes widened when she saw me notice it. She nodded urgently. "That's what they want. Whatever happens, don't let them have it." The doorknob jiggled again, more aggressive this time. Another voice joined in, low and threatening. "We know you're not alone in there. Give us what we came for and no one else gets hurt." My hands trembled as I reached toward the floorboard. The wood creaked under my fingers as I pried it open. Inside the compartment was a flash drive and a folded piece of paper with a single line written on it. If you are reading this, it's already begun. My pulse quickened to a terrifying rhythm. Olivia's voice cracked as she whispered, "You have to make a choice. Take it and run, or stay and fight with me." The banging on the door grew louder. The hinges groaned under the force. Every part of my body screamed to run, but when I looked into Olivia's terrified eyes, something inside me changed. I wasn't just a neighbor anymore. I was the only person standing between her and the people trying to destroy her, and they were seconds away from breaking through that door. The pounding on the door grew louder, the wood splintering as the men on the other side tried to force it open. My pulse roared in my ears, but I forced myself to stay calm. I grabbed the flash drive and the folded paper from the floorboard and stuffed them into my pocket, my hands shaking so hard I could barely think. "Untie me," Olivia whispered urgently, her voice trembling. I tore at the duct tape around her wrists, my fingers burning as I pulled against the sticky material. Each second felt like it stretched into hours. The door shuddered violently again. A deep voice growled, "This is your last chance. Give us what we came for, and we'll let you both walk away." Every instinct in my body screamed that was a lie. Finally, the tape snapped, and Olivia yanked her hands free. She rubbed her wrists, her breathing rapid but steady. She stood quickly, surprising me with her strength. "We don't have much time," she said. "Follow me." She rushed to her closet and pushed aside a rack of hanging clothes to reveal a hidden door in the wall, small, metal, and unmarked. I stared at it in disbelief. "Where does that go?" I asked. Olivia didn't look at me as she entered a code into a keypad beside it. "Somewhere safer than here," she said. Behind us, the bedroom door groaned as it began to crack under the pressure of repeated blows. My heart pounded harder with each splintering sound. The secret door opened with a low click, revealing a narrow passage lit by dim emergency lights. Olivia grabbed my arm and pulled me in just as the bedroom door burst open behind us. I caught a glimpse of two masked men before the hidden door closed silently, sealing us in complete silence. For a moment, all I could hear was the sound of my own breathing. The space was cold and narrow, just wide enough for us to walk single file. The walls were lined with metal panels, like some kind of emergency escape tunnel. "What is this?" I whispered, struggling to process everything. Olivia kept walking, her steps steady. "I built it when I realized they were coming for me," she said. "They've been watching me for months. I knew eventually they would try to break in. I just thought I had until tomorrow." I followed close behind her, my mind racing. "What is on that flash drive?" I asked. Olivia slowed, her shoulders tense. "Evidence," she said quietly. "Evidence that can expose a criminal network you wouldn't believe exists. People in finance, real estate, law enforcement. They launder money, manipulate identities, and make people disappear. I used to work for them, until I didn't." We reached the end of the passage, a heavy steel hatch. Olivia turned to me, her hazel eyes fierce. "Once we open this, there's no going back. They will do anything to get that flash drive, including killing both of us." I swallowed hard. "Why me? Why did you choose me?" She hesitated. "Because you notice things. You don't ignore your instincts. And I needed someone who would act, not freeze." Before I could respond, the metal door behind us rattled faintly. We could hear faint banging through the walls. They had found the passage. Olivia quickly unlocked the hatch, and we stepped into a small room resembling a safe house. There were monitors on the wall showing camera feeds throughout her apartment and the building. On one screen, we saw the men tearing apart her bedroom in rage. Another camera showed a black SUV pulling up outside the building. More were coming. Olivia went to a desk and pulled open a drawer, revealing a burner phone and a small firearm. She handed me the phone. You need to call someone you trust, someone who won't panic, someone who can get here before they do. My hands trembled as I dialed my brother Logan. He picked up on the first ring. Before he could speak, I said, "Logan, I'm in Olivia's apartment. She's in danger. I'm in a hidden room. There are people trying to break in. They're armed." His voice dropped, steady and focused. "Lock everything. Do not engage. I'm on my way with backup." The moment I ended the call, the feed on one of the monitors flickered. A figure in a suit appeared on screen, walking calmly past the other intruders. I recognized him instantly, not personally, but from the news. He was a high-profile real estate mogul, recently accused of fraud. Olivia's eyes widened. "He's not supposed to be here," she whispered. "If he came himself, it means they're desperate." The room suddenly felt smaller, the air thicker. Olivia turned to me. "You have the evidence. That makes you their new target." She walked toward a panel in the wall and pressed a button, revealing yet another door, this one leading down a flight of stairs. She looked at me with absolute seriousness. "This is the moment everything changes. You need to decide right now. Are you walking out of here to save your own life? Or are you helping me expose them and risking everything?" My heart was pounding, fear and adrenaline mixing inside me. But when I thought about the lives that could be destroyed if we did nothing, I already knew my answer. The metal staircase echoed beneath our feet, as Olivia and I descended into what felt like a forgotten part of the building. The hallway we emerged into was unfinished concrete, the kind of place no tenant would ever discover by accident. Behind us, we heard the distant clang of something metal slamming against the first hidden door. They had found the passage. Olivia moved quickly, leading me toward what looked like a heavy vault door at the end of the corridor. "They won't stop until they get that drive," she said, her voice steady, despite the danger. "What's on it?" I asked again. This time she answered, "Transaction records, offshore accounts, names of people who ordered disappearances. They thought I permanently deleted it, but I kept the original." My mind reeled. A high-profile criminal network, operating right beneath our noses. Some of those names could be people we saw on television, in politics, in law enforcement. This wasn't just a neighbor's secret. It was a ticking time bomb of truth that powerful people would kill to bury. A loud metallic bang vibrated through the concrete walls. They were using something to break through. There wasn't much time. Olivia typed in a code at the vault door. It clicked open to reveal a room filled with servers, hard drives, and equipment that looked far beyond anything a normal person would have access to. On a large screen in the center of the room, a live feed played, a news channel reporting on a developing financial fraud investigation involving elite families. Olivia's eyes flickered with urgency. They know someone is onto them. They think it's a rival group. They don't know it's me. She walked over to a console and powered up a system. The screen flashed with encrypted data. Then she turned to me. They didn't just launder money. They used these networks to relocate people, witnesses, whistleblowers, anyone who got in the way. Some were never seen again. Every word made the weight in my pocket feel heavier. That tiny flash drive held enough to shatter empires. Suddenly, a shrill alarm blared through the safe room. Olivia's eyes snapped to the screen showing the passage we came from. The men were already through the first hidden door. Their silhouettes appeared on the monitor, 4 of them, heavily armed, moving with military precision. At the front was the man I had seen in the hallway camera feed, the real estate mogul, a public figure, a philanthropist, a man praised for revitalizing communities. Yet here he was leading a covert armed assault to silence a neighbor who had dirt on him. "He's not who people think he is," Olivia said quietly. "He is one of the founders." The men advanced closer. We could hear their footsteps now. Olivia turned to me with fierce urgency. "There's a secondary exit at the far end of this room. It leads to a maintenance corridor and then to the parking garage. Take the drive and get out. Meet your brother. I'll stay and delay them." I shook my head. "They'll kill you." She didn't flinch. "They'll kill you first. You have something they can't risk losing." She reached under the desk and pulled out a small locked case. She held it out to me. "Put the drive in here. It has a GPS tracker. My contact will secure you once you're out." My heart pounded so hard I felt lightheaded. The footsteps were closer. Shouts echoed down the hallway. "Find them! Now!" I hesitated, every instinct screaming to stay and fight, but logic and survival pushed me forward. I placed the flash drive in the case and snapped it shut. That was when the vault door burst open. The men stormed in. Olivia pulled a lever on the wall, sealing a reinforced glass barrier between us and them. The real estate mogul stepped forward, his expression calm, almost apologetic. "You should have minded your own business," he said, looking directly at me. His voice was quiet, controlled, the kind of voice used to giving orders that destroyed lives. Olivia stepped into view on the other side of the barrier. "It's over," she said. "The evidence is out." A smile, cold and terrifying, crept across his face. "You think this ends with you exposing us? We built this system. If we fall, your entire world falls with us." Before he could say more, the room shook with the sound of distant sirens, police, multiple vehicles, rapid response. They were close. The mogul's face twitched with anger. He signaled to his men. They tried to break through the barrier, firing shots into the glass. Olivia shouted over the noise, "Go now!" I turned toward the exit as glass began to crack. Fear propelled me forward. I ran through the secondary door, sprinting down the maintenance tunnel as loud booms echoed behind me. As I ran, one horrifying thought repeated in my mind. If these people controlled everything, police, courts, money, then getting away was just the beginning, because the truth wasn't just dangerous, it was unstoppable. I ran through the dim maintenance corridor with every heartbeat echoing in my ears, gripping the locked case as though it were my lifeline. My lungs burned. My legs felt like they were made of stone, but something deeper than fear pushed me forward, a responsibility I never asked for, but could no longer walk away from. As I burst through the final metal door into the parking garage, the heavy sound of sirens filled the air. Police cars were already flooding the driveway, lights spinning in shades of red and blue. A familiar voice called my name. My brother Logan ran toward me, his face a mix of panic and relief. I collapsed into his arms, the shock finally overtaking my body. Before I could speak, agents surrounded us, escorting me into an armored vehicle. As the doors closed, I looked back at the building where Olivia remained. In that moment, I didn't know if I would ever see her again. Inside the vehicle, a federal agent sat across from me with a stern yet sympathetic expression. "You did the right thing," she said, "but I need you to understand. This is just the beginning. The people behind this control banks, political offices, and law enforcement agencies. If this evidence reaches the wrong hands, it disappears." I gripped the case tighter. The agent held out her hand. May I? My instincts screamed no. Logan placed a hand on my shoulder and whispered, Trust no one except who we choose ourselves. I looked directly at the agent. Show me your credentials. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly handed over a badge. It was authentic. Even so, a chill settled over me. The truth on that drive wasn't safe with a single agency. It needed multiple eyes, multiple layers of accountability. As we exited the vehicle into a secure facility, I saw Olivia being escorted by 2 officers. She was alive. Her wrists were bandaged, but her posture was steady, her eyes unwavering. Our eyes met across the hallway. In that silent moment, I felt something pass between us. Not fear, not even relief. It was resolve. Olivia nodded at me once, as if to say, You are not done. Hours passed as I gave my testimony. I recounted every detail, the screaming, the note, the secret room, the faces of the men who would have killed us both. Investigators came in one after another, some looking shocked, others unreadable. It hit me then how dangerous this was, not just because of the criminals, but because some of the people listening could be working for them. Later that night, I sat in a quiet observation room waiting for clearance to leave. The TV mounted on the wall played a breaking news segment, the real estate mogul's face appearing on screen under the headline, Billionaire philanthropist arrested in alleged financial conspiracy. Commentators spoke in shock. Politicians gave statements of deep concern, and the public reacted with disbelief. They didn't know this was just a glimpse into something much darker. Olivia entered the room, escorted by agents. She was no longer in distress. She was composed, almost peaceful. She sat beside me. You changed everything today, she said. You think you stumbled into this, but I chose you because I saw something in you, a kind of strength you didn't realize you had. I shook my head slowly. I was terrified. She nodded. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's what you do in spite of it. In the following days, the investigation expanded. Arrests were made in multiple states. Names that had once been untouchable were suddenly front-page scandals, but along with that exposure came threats, anonymous messages, cars idling near my building. My mother begged me to move home. My brother refused to let me be alone for a single night. I realized my life would never go back to normal, but strangely, I found peace in that truth, because normal meant living in ignorance, believing evil only existed far away. Now I knew it hid behind polished doors and smiling faces. Weeks later, I received one final message from Olivia. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a warning and a reminder. She wrote, They will try to rebuild. They always do. Stay alert. Stay brave. The world needs people who act when others stay silent. I folded the note and placed it inside my journal, not as a memory, but as a promise. I never expected to become part of a fight this big, but sometimes we don't choose the purpose. We're chosen by it. And when that moment comes, we must decide if we will run from it or step into who we were meant to be. If this story opened your eyes or made you feel the power of one brave decision, subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from. Your engagement helps spread awareness, and your voice could be the one that saves someone's life next.